Hello everyone, welcome to today's live session. My name is Cusack and I'm the President of Mary I Students' Union, and I'll be joined shortly by Professor Eugene, President of MIC. So we're just going to be doing a quick Christmas catch-up on how the semester went and questions that have been submitted to us by students about semester 2. So we'll be chatting to Eugene shortly, so I'm just waiting for him to join the live. Big hello to all the current students that are watching today. Hopefully you're not too busy with assignments and you're looking forward to the Christmas holidays on Friday. So I'll just request for him to join now. Okay. Just waiting for him to join. Hello.
Aisling, how are you? How are you keeping? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. You're all dressed up in your Christmas jumper.
Well, I'm dressed up in a red jumper. It's not quite a Christmas jumper, but the Christmas jumper I had was a bit too far out to wear for this. I thought you were going to be wearing red as well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you have.
I'm all dressed, you just can't see it.
Great to see you.
So yeah, thanks so much for doing it. We've done this before, so you know the drill. So it's been a strange semester, and we've got a good few questions in from students. Some academic ones, some non-academic. So I just gave students the opportunity to submit questions last week to myself, and I said I'd ask them to you on their behalf. So we'll kick off.
Very good.
So the first one, we got loads of questions in about semester 2. So students are wondering, what will semester 2 look like in terms of academic delivery? Will it be similar to this semester?
Okay, let me begin by making some general comments about the where we find ourselves at this particular stage. I suppose we're all very aware in the college. We're all very aware of what a difficult semester it's been for students. Going back indeed as far as last March has been very difficult, not only within the college itself, but outside the college as well. There's been so much disruption that's taken place, and it's created so much uncertainty for students. We're very aware, for example, that students have been deprived of the usual campus experience, and as well as that, we're also very mindful of the fact that this creates a level of isolation for students, having to study at home. Some students would say we didn't go to college to study in our bedrooms or at the kitchen table. And I suppose one area where we are particularly concerned is about the level of connectedness which students are able to have with each other and with the college. And also the difficulty that students have staying motivated, particularly as time goes on. This gets greater and greater. And we're also very aware that first years in particular, whereas this is a problem for all students, it's particularly a problem for first years. Yeah. And the reason it's particularly a problem for first years is they won't have formed friendships with their class group. So the opportunity to share experiences, to reflect on particular lectures, to reflect on the program, to talk about how they're dealing with it and so forth, they've been denied all of that. So what I'm saying is we're very mindful of this, and if we could have students back on campus tomorrow, we'd only be too delighted to that, because it's our strong preference to get our students back on campus at the earliest possible time that's compatible with safety and with public health. And the safety of our students and of our staff is our paramount concern, and we've said that, as you know, from the outset.
Yeah.
So given also the need that students have for some sort of certainty about what's going to happen next semester, and their need to plan, and they would need to plan about accommodation. What we decided to do early on, particularly at the time when things looked very bleak, what we decided to do at that stage was to try and give that sort of certainty by telling students that next semester will be broadly similar to this semester. It will be online. Certainly all large lectures right to the end of the semester will be online. We would expect that in the main, small group tutorials and small group classes will be online as well. There'll be a mixture of live classes and also ones that are recorded and are delivered asynchronously. So that's what we see as what's going to be the case next semester. However, we're very much aware that the better times are coming, okay? And we will avail at the earliest opportunity of, you know, the possibilities that are there to bring students back on campus. As you know, many of our education students will actually be going out on placements in schools as well. And that's been done in a very structured and in a very controlled way, and in a way in which we've adapted it. So that's what we will be doing. We'll be taking advantage of whatever opportunities arise. Now, I have to say to you that I'm reluctant to engage in any form of making predictions, because it's a fool's game, and as soon as you make predictions, you're likely to look ridiculous if they don't come to pass.
I know.
But I think that there is a reasonable expectation that after Christmas, given the reduction in restrictions over the Christmas period, the greater amount of socialization, we may be going back to further restrictions. Yeah, I'm afraid so. I think that's the sort of advice, the public health advice we're getting, that there may be a surge in terms of the figures. And a lot depends upon the rollout of vaccines. I've been somebody who, for the last number of months, even going back to the orientation with first years, I've been somebody who's been very optimistic about that. You know, I believe that vaccines were coming sooner than people believed they were. Mm-hmm. But having said that, it's important to realise that the rollout of vaccines now, and you'll have seen the government's plan for rolling out vaccinations there. We will be finishing up the semester by about, by the 23rd of April.
Yeah. Will
be the end of the teaching semester.
Yeah.
Realistically, by that stage there, most of our students won't have been vaccinated by that particular stage. Mm-hmm. And I think it will be probably about sometime in May or June by the time you get the sort of mass vaccination of the population that will be necessary. And I just want to say, we will be encouraging all our students. We will be putting on a campaign to encourage all our students to avail of the vaccination, and we will be trying to persuade students of the benefits of doing that. Boy. So that's a long answer, but that's
answer to the first question.
Yeah.
I suppose on that note, with the vaccine and COVID restrictions and stuff like that, if we do see things ease a small bit, restrictions ease, would there be any possibility of any students coming on campus for the semester, aside, I suppose, from the students that are coming in? Like, we do have our CAT students coming in and students coming in for study spaces, but in terms of classes or any activities, is there any possibility of that happening next semester, or is it too early to tell yet?
Well, it's too early to give you a definitive answer to it, but it's not too early to say that this is something that we're already planning for and something we're exploring the possibilities around. We definitely would see that there will be some opportunities to bring students back in groups. You will recall that in September, before we went into level 5, all first year students were brought in for orientation. So we're actually investing quite a degree of effort in trying to set up those sorts of experiences for students to come on campus. I know, for example, final year students, you know, towards the end of the year and all, will want to come on campus for a variety of opportunities. And insofar as it's safe to do so, we will be attempting to do that. I suppose my approach here, and it's trying to be as honest as possible, my approach here is to under-promise and over-deliver. So not to promise too much, but if we can, with the rollout of the vaccines, we will do our utmost.
That's good. Good to hear, and good to see that there's planning in place that for students returning. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I think you've answered this one. There was another question in from a student asking would there be opportunities to have face-to-face tutorials on campus? Now, obviously, that's COVID restriction permitting as well, I suppose, is it?
It is, yeah. I mean, the timetable hasn't been definitively drawn up for next semester, but it's possible that some lecturers may actually prefer to give their small classes in person and on a face-to-face basis. Speaking for myself personally, I would have been teaching next semester, but I'm not doing that. But if I were teaching next semester, my personal preference would have been to go in with, say, 20 or 30 students in a relatively small group, and to have those sorts of interactions between the teacher and themselves, but also amongst themselves. It's that opportunity. A lot will depend, as I said. I'm trying to balance optimism with realism here, and knowing that by the time we start at the end of January, we could be looking at a situation where we have we're back into more restrictive circumstances. Yeah.
The word lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I think it's good for students, even for the study spaces or any activity, for them to have the opportunity to come in and have that interaction. As you said, students are probably feeling so isolated at the moment, if they're living at home and probably sick of the same four walls that they're staring at, and screen time as well is difficult for them. So fingers crossed we'll see an improvement next semester. Then another kind of academic question for you. Students were asking what model of assessment would be used for semester 2. I suppose it's up to the lecturers themselves, but I think the question was really about sit-down exams, or will it be more assignments and essays and stuff like that? So,
okay, well, last semester, as you know, it was mandated. In other words, it was required that all assessments would be done on an online basis, and they will be done by assignments. There isn't the same requirement this semester, so that means it's leaving it up to the lecturers themselves to see what they feel is the necessary, what way is optimal in terms of assessing their particular module. Now, for some lecturers, they may decide that they want sit-down examinations. In other cases, it may be that orals cannot be done as effectively online. I mean, that's what we had to do last semester. We had to do all the orals online, and that creates problems, particularly for students with connectivity issues. Now, our research into this shows that there isn't a huge number of students who have connectivity problems, and I think the laptop scheme also was helpful. So if there are any students out there who feel that they have a need for a laptop, and they have a case to get one of the laptops, the scheme is not concluded yet, so just to let people know that there's still that possibility there. But there will be the scope there for some assessments to take place in person. In some institutions, they've had proctored examinations, so they would be done online.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, next question about the applications, and students are wondering, will the interviews and application process take place online? So some of the current probably final years in the BA or the BACC, or other, I suppose, students looking to come back for further study on the PME. So just wondering about that process, or has it been decided yet?
I suppose I feel bad when I keep saying to you it depends in answer to a lot of your questions. But the positive news is that we were told much earlier this year by the Department of Education and Skills that the PME programme is going ahead with the same numbers intake as in previous years. So that's something that's very positive. The interviews for that don't take place to the latter end of the month of May. So much could change by the latter end of May. For example, if the rollout of the vaccines is more positive than we expect, in other words, if they over-deliver on that, our preference would be to have those interviews done in person at that particular stage. So the answer again will depend. It's too soon to judge, but I would say our very definite preference would be to have them in person, because it overcomes some of the issues that we experienced in a mild form last year of people trying to conduct an interview while there were other people walking by in the background and serving them tea and dogs barking and whatever else,
It's mad.
Yeah.
The next
Yeah.
one then is in relation to the Gaeltacht. So will any students be going to the Gaeltacht next semester? I know students were due to go out was it May, and go out in January as well, but it has been postponed. So students were just wondering, is there any possibility of them going to the likes of Dingle or in Galway for a Gaeltacht placement?
This is not really a depends answer, in fact, but the answer will probably not please a lot of people. The answer is there isn't a huge likelihood of students going out to the Gaeltacht for the actual placements this semester. Certainly not in the early stages. I wouldn't think so around Easter, because Easter is the 4th of April this year. So I wouldn't say there's very much of a possibility. I would think in the first instance, Gaeltacht communities might not relish the prospect of, 1,500 students descending upon them, and that would be from one institution alone. They mightn't relish that. So I think there is a faint possibility that towards the end of the semester, if you were into the month of June at that particular stage, there might be some possibility. But who knows what's going to be there in June? And I mean, students might not like to be required at that late in the year to suddenly have to change their plans in order to do it. What we are doing at present is we're in discussions with the Teaching Council and also with the Department of Education and Skills to try and come up with an alternative. I suppose this is a good opportunity for me to say in relation to education students who might be qualifying this year. We're in constant discussion and negotiations with the Teaching Council to make sure that the sorts of changes that we are making to the programme will have no impact on the recognition by the Teaching Council of the qualifications of our students. And that I think is particularly important to give that sort of assurance to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. There's only one final question. It's about graduation. So the graduates of 2020, I know they sent out their parchments back in October. They're just wondering, will there be any celebration in the coming weeks, or when will it be?
I think there's probably a two-stage answer to that. So what we're doing in conjunction with yourselves is that we are preparing a ceremony of recognition for students. I don't want to be definite on the date, but I can give an indicative date. The indicative date is likely to be the 29th of January. Okay, and at that particular stage, we will have an online ceremony. In fact, it will consist of a couple of parts. In the first instance, which will be primarily led by yourselves, we will be inviting students from each of the year groups to send in photographs and videos of their class or themselves while in college, and we will be creating a montage, as it were, a video montage of that, and that will be the first part of this ceremony of recognition. There will be a small element there which will consist of the speeches that you might get at graduation, but they will be much shorter. Okay, so it won't be like at a graduation where you could be listening to speeches, as you know yourself, Aisling, you could be listening to the likes of me for maybe 15, 20 minutes. So you could be talking about 40 minutes of speeches. This will be much shorter. And then what we will have is a roll call of all of the students who graduated, and that will scroll up the screen as each of the names are mentioned. That's something that we're looking at. Whether and when we have something like a live ceremony, that would probably depend again on the public health restrictions, but it's something that we would certainly entertain later on in the semester when it becomes safe to do so. I probably should say as well that it would be important to say that we're looking forward with optimism to the next academic year, from the beginning of the next academic year, reverting back to more or less normal activities and typical graduation. And we also have an award ceremony for students who got scholarships. We need some way of honouring those students there. We have a ceremony for a famous and high achieving alumni as well, and that's something that we'd like to have.
Great.
Yeah.
All positive. So,
Yeah.
I think they're all the questions for now, Eugene. But just to thank you for coming on today, and thanks to everyone who has tuned in to watch, and for anyone who submitted questions as well. Hopefully they answered your queries or concerns looking into semester 2. So thanks again, Eugene. And
Well, before we go, can I just say myself a number of thank yous as well. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the students themselves, because I think we really do appreciate as an institution the sort of flexibility and commitment that they've shown, and we know that, as I said at the outset, it's not easy for them to remain engaged under these trying circumstances. So the sort of resilience that they've shown. That's something there that I said I want to put on record our thanks to the students. I know some students are struggling, and they're struggling with issues around stress and so forth. I do want to remind them that we have those sorts of pastoral supports there. Do feel welcome to contact us, in the period up to Christmas or after Christmas. If we have counselling supports there. If they do want to contact us, I would encourage them to do so, and not to struggle in isolation and alone. We are a community. We do want to be there for our students. Of course, I think it would be wrong of me not to highlight the sort of important role which the Mary I Students' Union has had in terms of helping us through all of this. Because you're our channel through the students, you provide us with the sort of feedback, you provide suggestions to us, and we listen to the sort of feedback that you provide for us, and it has proven very valuable over the years. You'll know, because you've heard me say this before. I've said it at Governing Authority, I've said it at Academic Council. I'm not just saying this for the benefit of everybody who's online now. It's entirely true, and I'm very happy to stand over that. And the other thing I'd just like to say before I finish would be, I just want to take the opportunity as well to wish all our students, a happy and enjoyable Christmas. I hope that it's not it's not too damaged by the sort of pandemic which we're undergoing. I know we're all going to come out of this. We're all going to come out of this at the end of it, hopefully stronger. And facing into a brighter future. So just best Christmas wishes to all our students and to their families.
Yeah, thanks Eugene, and happy Christmas everyone, and we'll see you soon. Stay safe everyone. Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.